Hello everybody and welcome to round 2 here at Ettin Games and Hobbies. On the left we have Matthew, he is going to be on Abzan, and on the right we have James, and James is going to be on Abzan. We're going to get live totals reset to 20 here momentarily, and buckle up because we have a matchup for y'all. Alright, James is looking at Murderous Cut, Verdant Catacombs, Liliana, Scavenging Ooze. This is right up the alley of the kind of hand that James would want. Also, it looks like there's a Dark Confidant at the back there. Matt, on the other hand, did not see a hand that he liked. Of course, it's going to come down to the number of cards that each player has, so mulliganing in the mirror is a tough spot to be in. And it's funny, James has been playing the deck for a long bit, and Matt has not. So Matt very nicely had some words for me when I put them on camera, because he is not as experienced as James is. But you never know what could happen. Could see anything on camera here. Alright, Matt's gonna look at another 6 here. He's gonna like what he sees, it looks like, so he's gonna scry. And he's thinking long and hard about that scry. It's going to be on top. And we'll see who was on the play here. It looks like Matt. Matt's going to start off with the Verdant Catacombs and ship the turn back over to James. James drawing Fatal Push for turn. He's going to play a Swamp and is going to play a Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize coming Matt's way. Let's see what kind of hand Matt kept. Oh, so this is exactly the kind of hand Matt would want to keep. We see a Liliana of the Veil, an Abrupt Decay, a Grimflayer, a Fatal Push. James, of course, writing down all of these cards, making sure that he knows what Matt has at all times. Alright. Well, I'll see what James chooses to pick here. And he's going to look at his hand for a quick second. James, more than anyone, understands the tedious decision trees of Abzan, so he's going to take an Abrupt Decay here. He's going to shift the turn back over to Matt. That's going to draw for a turn. Things can get pretty ugly if both players dedicate a uncontested Liliana. Matt's going to fetch here. Fall down to 19, presumably 17. See the Overgrown Tomb right at the bottom there. Alright, and that's going to be the land that he takes. It's going to be the Overgrown Tomb. He's going to fall down to 17. See if Matthew has any other sort of action this turn. Alright, it's going to be a Blooming Marsh and a Grimflayer hitting the battlefield for Matthew. We, of course, know that James has the answer, and I'm sure Matt knows as well. You can almost assuredly presume that your opponent has some sort of answer, considering y'all are both playing the same deck. Alright, and this is going to be a Fatal Push from James. It's going to make quick work of the Grimflayer. See, Matt put down a Scavenging Ooze, and he's going to ship the turn back to James with the Windswept Heath open. Right. James is going to fetch at end of turn, presumptively getting some sort of shock land in tapped. Ooh, and James says my Overgrown Tomb is better than yours. Puts down an original art Overgrown Tomb. Scavenging Ooze is one of those cards that can get pretty quick out of control, but James does have the Murderous Cut, and he may be looking... Ooh, he finds a Blooming Marsh right on time. Let's see if he just wants to Liliana minus here. Looks like that's what he's going to do. Matt deciding if he wants to eat something in response. Something he had open to him, but he's going to choose not to. He's just going to fetch at the end of turn here. The only real target that would have gained him any sort of advantage would be the Grimflayer itself, so not something Matt was looking to, not the kind of interaction Matt was looking to do. Get a card out of his own graveyard. All right. Back over to Matt's turn here. Let's see what Matt can piece together. This is going to be a Lingering Souls. Lingering Souls does a pretty good job of cleaning up a Liliana that's on the board. James, of course, has the answer to both tokens if he so chooses. That's an option that he has. Then he'll be staring down 2 more the following turn. James is just going to start off by plussing here, it looks like. Alright, he's going to get rid of his own Lingering Souls. And he's just going to flash that back. He's going to net the 2 spirits, and he's going to be able to hold Matt at bay for a turn. Just keep on the advantage train with this Liliana. It is worth noting that by flashing back the Lingering Souls, James does not have Murderous Cut open anymore. But by playing that land, he does. So Murderous Cut is something James has available to him. Matt's going to play a Liliana of his own. We'll see what Matt chooses to do with said Liliana. It looked like he chose to plus because he had no cards in hand, and so James discarded the Murderous Cut. If this comes down to a Lingering Souls race, Murderous Cut isn't really the value you're looking for. Alright, James notifying that he is in fact going to go down to 14. Alright, and he is going to grab a Temple Garden. Both players having the correct spirit tokens from Unstable. Ooh, an Abrupt Decay is going to hit Matt's Liliana. And this is, like I said, this just comes down to more cards in hand. James has a Scavenging Ooze and just tons of ways to get advantage out of this Scavenging Ooze, considering there's 2 creatures in Matt's graveyard. James is going to gain a life off of the Scavenging Ooze. No, James is actually going to exile Matt's Lingering Souls so that Matt can't net any excess spirit tokens. Matt's tapping 2. This is going to be a Grimflayer, and it looks like he is going to ship the turn back over to James after James eats a Grimflayer out of Matt's graveyard. James is going to go up to 15, gaining a life off of the Scavenging Ooze's ability, and it netted a counter, so now it is at a 3-3. He actually has the power to keep Matt off of Delirium as well. This is... if we were to have an advantage bar, this would definitely be in Matt's favor. James is just looking to grind out some incremental advantage and just have a big blowout turn. Ooh, and Matt finds Dark Confidant off the top. This is a card that demands an answer, and James does not have an answer to it currently. We'll see if James finds something off the top of his library. James is going to go up to 16 after eating another creature with the Scavenging Ooze. And it really looks like he's just trying to keep Matt off Delirium. James saying, I can have my graveyard, but you can't. James is just going to find a basic forest here. He has really all the colors that he needs. And Matt just going ahead and pre-exiling one of the lands because he knows that that's what James is going to do. Alright, turn's going to go back over to James. See if James finds an answer for the Dark Confidant. He does not. He's just going to have to plus that Liliana and hope that Matt doesn't get too much advantage out of this Dark Confidant. Alright, just a land. No damage. Possibly found another land. It doesn't look like Matt's looking to do anything right now, but let's see. Land for turn. It's the land that James knows about. This is going to be a fatal push targeting that Scavenging Ooze. And this is the kind of swingy games that Abzan tends to have. Especially in the mirror. He's going to connect with the Grim player, see if James wants to trade off both of the tokens. And it looks like James does want to trade off both of the tokens. He's going to ship the turn back over to James. 16-15, and we're at a top deck war, and that is a Tarmogoyf. Players counting up each other's graveyards. Of course, Tarmogoyf getting one more bigger because of the Liliana. Ooh, Tarmogoyf the reveal off of Dark Confidant, so Matt's going to take just 2 off of that. They're going to have Tarmogoyf staring each other down, and Matt is getting a lot of advantage off this Dark Confidant. James really needs to find an answer. Most anything in his deck will do. This is a 5/6 Tarmogoyf. Both of them are 5/6s right now. This is what James said before the round started. He said, have fun watching us go to time. And he was not kidding. Ooh, this is a Scavenging Ooze, so... Looks like it was something that Matt took one off of. It was a Nile Spellbomb. Of course, exiling James' graveyard does Matt no good in this matchup. He's just going to play the Spellbomb. He can also draw an excess card off of it. Looks like, yeah, he's going to target James. And they're going to have an Even Z's Tarmogoyf, which is going to be 3 or 2 that they're looking at. Oh, 4/5. Okay, so there's some other stuff in Matt's graveyard we're not seeing. And James is going to exile the only creature he can from his own graveyard. He's going to exile targeting Matt's graveyard. It's going to gain him another life and put that Scavenging Ooze up 1. It's going to bring the Tarmogoyf down. See what Matt looks to do here. Ooh, and this is a Liliana of the Veil for Matt. He can minus make James make a hard decision. He can just pass the turn back to James. James is going to be able to eat his own Tarmogoyf. And make Matt's Tarmogoyf much smaller. James goes up to 18, Matt's at 13, but Matt has the advantage currently. Of course, this is completely a swingy game. Yes, Ettin does still stream Magic. Little Bits, I think, is the correct pronunciation. Little B1TS, T5? Is that a 5? Yes, we do still stream Magic, and hello to you as well. Alright, James swings, Matt blocks. And we'll see what the reveal is momentarily. Dropped Matt down to 10. Oh, hey Brendan. How's it going? Yes, we do still stream, Brendan. Everyone's been requesting every weekend off, so it's been happening. But yeah, you get to watch James play some Abzan, and also Matt Barr play some Abzan. This game has been extremely swingy, completely back and forth, so This is going to be a plus for Matt just to get that Liliana back up to 2. That's going to get... But it's going to allow him to pitch the Lingering Souls, but James is going to eat said Lingering Souls before Matt can really do anything about it. It's not like he can respond. There's going to be another Liliana. James is going to eat as much as he can in order to gain some life here. It's going to take him up to 20, which is going to take him back down to 18. I think in this specific position, Matt is heavily advantaged, but a lot of top decks come out of Abzan. A lot. And that's what we've been seeing on his side of the board. Yeah, that's all James really needed to deal with that Dark Confidant this entire 4-turn cycle. That's gonna go back to Matt, and looks like he's gonna plus choose the lesser of the 2. Looks like lands in his hand. He's just gonna ship the turn back to James, so this is really still anyone's game. Alright. Plus, both of us are gonna discard our lands past the turn. This is really what it's come down to. Ooh, and James finds Shambling Vent. That is not nothing. Yeah, and I agree, Brendan, in chat. I completely agreed. And I think that Shambling Vent was a tremendous find for James. Because it's something that is going to be able to keep him in this game. Matt got to see extra cards, but James really has just been playing a big defensive game. Keeping himself as high life total as he can. Because he knows... James knows the top of his deck can yield awesome things. He's been watching Matt do it the entire game. Alright, they're both going to discard. Matt's going to discard an Inquisition. He's going to shift the turn back over to James. Ooh, and an Abrupt Decay off the top. And that's exactly what I was talking about. Now James can start getting the beats on Matt. James goes up to 22. Matt goes down to 18, or down to 8. And these manlands are exactly where this matchup wants to be. Alright, we'll see if Matt really found anything. James giving Matt a masterclass on how to play Abzan. Really just been grinding out this game as much as he can, knowing it was going to come down to just valuable top decks. Oh, and another tremendous find off the top of James's library. This is the Lingering Souls. He's going to activate Shambling Vent. Ooh, and Fatal Push is going to eat up that Shambling Vent, but James still heavily advantaged with the Lingering Souls tokens. Matt at such a low life total because of the Dark Confidant. You really just needed to keep hitting stuff, and I think he yielded one too many lands off of the Dark Confidant itself. It's going to be a flashback Lingering Souls. James getting in for 2. Matt says, I'll take it. Matt down to 4. Ooh, and a tremendous Maelstrom Pulse. This is phenomenal. This is the way that Richard Garfield intended for Magic to be played, and I am not kidding when I make that joke. It's just great, valuable cards. It's going to be a Collective Brutality. Drain 2, gain 2. Let's see what's in your hand. It's a Tireless Tracker. Matt finding all the advantage cards, but James just really being able to grind Matt into nothing. That's going to make his land drop. Yeah. Any one of those lands has to intercept. We'll see what James finds off the top. This is the way James has been going. This could be a Liliana. Ooh, and a Scavenging Ooze. And a Grim Player off the top for James. This is still anyone's game. James is heavily advantaged being at 26 life. Both players playing quite literally the same deck, so... Ooh, okay. Matt's going to try to gain as much life as he can here. Ooh, asking card types in graveyard, I think, is what Matt's looking at. There may be a Tarmogoyf in hand. is going to crack a clue, draw a card, put a counter on the tireless tracker. Matt draws. I think he's about to crack another clue. He's going to put another counter on that tireless tracker. He's got to be careful that James doesn't just trample over this scavenging ooze. Really, anything gets put in the graveyard, the scavenging ooze gets bigger. Yeah, Matt's not going to risk it. He's just going to pass the turn. James, what did he find? Ooh, he's going to ship the turn back. This could be anything. This is exactly why you play Bolt. Yeah. Brendan noting in our chat that this is the reason why you play Bolt, and I agree. If Mike were here, he'd be playing Jund. He'd be playing his Rabble Masters main. That's what we've come to expect out of Mike. I think Jund is a beautiful thing, but also think Abzan is the technically better deck. Jund doesn't even really play Bolt main board. Man, Matt just firing off spells. Really, just he got through a lot of lands earlier, so this is kind of payback for the few great top decks James has had. And Matt's just trying to piece something together. I mean, there's no incentive for James to really block here. Yeah, he's just going to take the damage. He's going to fall down to 21. Another Grim player found for James. He's going to ship the turn back over to Matt. Matt's going to crack a clue at the end of the turn. Both Tireless Trackers are going to get bigger. Tireless Tracker is a phenomenal card in this matchup. Everyone's exhausted their fetches. There's not really any revolting going on, so like Fatal Push doesn't even really line up well this late in the game. I'm a huge fan. Man, these Tireless Trackers. Oh my gosh, Matt is getting aggressive. He really needs to find a way to close this game out, because James could just find a Maelstrom Pulse. James counting up where the damage is out right now. Wow, James going all the way down to 6. This is insane. Yeah, and James just scoops him up. It looks like the student became the teacher a little bit in that game. I think that, especially off of the Dark Confidant, things like Tireless Tracker, Matt was just gaining large increments of advantage. We'll see what James looks to sideboard in here. It looks like I saw Kitchen Phoenix, just cards that grind through removal. Brendan in the chat, if you know for sure what he's bringing in. Yeah, I've seen Kitchen Phoenix Collective. I didn't see what the bottom card was. Yeah, absolutely, Brendan. I'm not sure what specific sideboard Matt's going for here. Looks like Surgicals. I think he just wants to take out James's value pieces. Signing into Gideon. He pulled Fulms to the front. Maybe Fulminator thinking that it may come down to Manlands. These are all completely reasonable sideboards. I'm not sure how well equipped or how much Matt's looked into the mirror. He said he's done a fair bit of research off of Reed Duke's most recent Channel Fireball articles. Cletus, Gideon, knowing him, Surgicals. Yeah. That seems pretty correct, Brendan. Tendrils to clean up the Lingering Souls tokens. Definitely see that. I wonder, maybe it's just not as necessary. Oh, it looks like Damnation also coming in for James. I wonder if it's not as necessary, but you could also, there's some argument for the White Collective. What was it? Collective Blessing? I'm a huge fan of Collective Blessing in Modern, and especially things like these mid-range mirrors. Also, something I've been a huge proponent of, especially in the local meta. No one's really tried it out for me, but if anyone out there gets a chance, I'm a no, not Collective Effort. I'm thinking of Collective Blessing. Collective Effort wasn't really I didn't think was that good of a card. I'm thinking of the 2-mana one that you can gain life. You could make them sacrifice attackers, stuff like that. Oh, is that? That's the okay. I am thinking of Blessed Alliance. Thank you, Brendan. You got me. You understand me. You know me. Um, yeah, but no one. I haven't gotten anyone to try it out yet. But if anyone out there does want to try it out, I am a huge fan of Jund sideboarding one Angrath, just for specifically these mid-range matchups. Yeah, that's exactly the one, Brendan. But yeah, I've been trying to get the Jund players to play like one Angrath in their sideboard because I do think that card is like a mid-range mirror breaker. It's no Kiki Chiki, but it is a mid-range mirror breaker, and I think that Angrath could be good in Modern. 5 mana for a Planeswalker is a lot, but all of his abilities are relevant and would have been relevant that last game that we watched. Alright, both players drawing up their hands. James has the old tracker in hand, asking him, why did you defy me? James also has Lingering Souls, Tarmogoyf, Liliana, pair of lands. So this is definitely a keep. This is a mid-range powerhouse keep. Matt going to Mulligan again. Worked out for him the first time. Just gonna stay on trend, I suppose. Of course, I'm kidding by saying that. No one mulligans on purpose. I guess I should never say never because I'm sure someone's done it. To like aggressively mulligan to some sort of sideboard piece, but not in this matchup. It's gonna come down to cards, and that's what it did that last matchup. Matt saw more cards. Matt ended up winning. All right, James is gonna be on the play here. He's gonna lead us off with a Verdant Catacombs, dropping himself down to 17, finding some sort of shockland, probably Overgrown Tomb, and an Inquisition. We get to see what Matt's keep was. We have Lingering Souls, Grim Flare, Thoughtseize. Alright. I don't know. If anyone out there tries it out, you can find me on Facebook or find Ettin Games on Facebook. Post on our Facebook and tell me how Angrath worked out for you, because I just think the card's good. Right. James is going to peel out the Thoughtseize. James thinks he has the better hand, and I would agree with him. Shambling Vent for Matt that turn. He's going to pass the turn back to James. James picks up a Fatal Push. Temple Garden tapped. Passes back to Matt. These early turns of these games are going to go pretty quick because the rest of the game is going to go pretty long. Matt's going to fetch and shock himself down to 17. And he's going to grab an Overgrown Tomb of his own. I would venture to say that neither of his lands are as great as the arts that James has chosen. Of course, Shambling Vent has the same art, but you know what I mean. Grim Flare coming down for Matt. That's going to be quickly Fatal Push by James. James is extremely advantaged here because he has found a way. Oh, and he found another Liliana. No third land here for James. He's just going to play a Tarmogoyf, ship the turn back to Matt. Looks like Goyf count is at a 4-5 if I'm correct. Matt's going to take 2, drop himself down to 15. He's going to play a Fulminator Mage. Ooh, Fulminator Mage could be devastating to James. He's going to take James off of that Overgrown Tomb, pass the turn back to James. James does have a 4-5, and he finds another land off the top. He's going to attack 4-4 at Matt. That's going to drop Matt down to 11. 12, so it's just a 3-4 Tarmogoyf. I thought it was a 4-5. Maybe my math is incorrect. Either way, Matt has a Tarmogoyf of his own. James is going to shock himself, play a Liliana. He's going to minus get rid of that Tarmogoyf. And he's going to swing. Matt's going to drop down to 8. And this is going to be on Matt. He's going to play a Lingering Souls. Lingering Souls Resolve, says James. 2 spirits for Matt. He's going to shift the turn back over to James. James is going to play another Liliana. This one's going to plus take out one of the spirits. Tarmogoyf is going to attempt to get in here, and not after James makes them discard first. Matt having to discard Dark Confidant. I wonder what else he's keeping in hand. That spirit is going to block the Tarmogoyf. I'm going to shift the turn back over to Matt. Matt is going to lose this game, if I had to venture to say. Anything can happen, but this game is pretty much signed, sealed, delivered. We're going to game 3. Blistering pace. That's the kind of magic I like. James kept a solid hand, played very correctly, made sure his mana was used and was efficient each turn of the game. Fulminator had the potential to be devastating, but it wasn't. Yeah, double Liliana is dumb, Brendan. I agree. It is. That's why I called it like I saw it. That game was over. All right. Alright, both players talking possibly about the blistering pace that they just played at. This is going to leave them with 18 minutes on the clock, which is not a bad place to be going into Game 3. Usually you're allotted about 15 minutes per game is where you want to be at, with a little bit of shuffling time. Thank you, Darvak, for cheering some bits. Some of those times 10 bits. That was a solid last game. I'm going to take a quick drink of this here Mountain Dew because that was insanely fast, and James closed out that game about as quickly as he could. I would venture to say that James has a pretty good odds of winning this game 3, only because of his experience with the deck. Matt, don't get me wrong, was making some very correct decisions, but I think James made better decisions that game 1 based on the long game versus Matt making better decisions as to what made sense of the current board presence. James took a few hits, gained a lot of life, made sure he put himself in the best possible position to win, and still just lost to valuable pieces. Whereas in that game 2, we saw James win with a bunch of valuable pieces. Both players reconsoling their sideboards. We'll see what else they may want to change. Maybe both players think there's some sort of play-draw dependency. They both may be looking at their sideboards just because the other player is. You never know in Modern. I see more often than not, it's actually always good to look at your deck and look like you're sideboarding even if you're not. Because the thing is I have, on numerous occasions, picked my deck back up after shuffling, been like, actually I'm going to keep sideboarding. And then my opponent sideboards out something or sideboards in something. It's actually pretty funny. It's like this almost little mind game that you can play with them. Maybe James wants to be a bit more reactive on the draw. And maybe Matt wants to be a little more aggressive. Who knows? James might put in the Fulminators just to spite Matt. Just because Matt brought him in. They can have a battle to blow up each other's lands. Really, finding 2 lands off the top was the nail in the coffin for Matt, because that Fulminator really had the potential to just be the most devastating thing ever, and it wasn't. Alright, both players are going into Game 3 with 16 minutes on the clock. Let's see if Matt can find a hand that he actually keeps. Yeah, and that's exactly what I figured, Brendan. On the draw, you do want to be a little more reactive. Looks like they both found hands that they can keep. Matt's going to go down to 17. He is going to find... Nope, can't find that, Matt. He was looking at a Blooming Marsh. There we go. It actually is a thing that like all black green dual lands in standard and modern recently have just looked to the exact same. Like Hissing Quagmire looks like RTR Overgrown Tomb, and also looks like Blooming Marsh. Like it's insane. All right, we're gonna have a Thoughtseize out of Matt. He may make a similar play to James and just take that Inquisition, but James has a Kitchen Finks. Yeah, and it's just hand disruption taking hand disruption. He's gonna shift the turn back over to James. James draws a Blooming Marsh for turn, passes the turn back to Matt. Alright, this is going to be a Windswept Heath pass over to James. James is going to Inquisition, finding one off the top. Fatal Push, Gideon. Darvak, thank you for the bits. This is going to be another Blooming Marsh coming down for James. He's going to shift the turn back over to Matt. Matt's going to fall down to 14, says Matt. Yes, because of the Thoughtseize earlier. He's going to present, and James is going to cut. Matt's hand is very lacking in some sort of action here, especially for being on the play. Gideon is a great turn 4 play, but not after all the turn 3 plays that James has. It's going to be a tap Goblet Shrine, shipping back over to James. James is going to decide which land he wants to play, possibly that forest. Still looking at that forest. Could be that forest. It's that forest. And this is going to be a Kitchen Finks. This is going to gain James a pair of life. And when it dies, it'll persistently gain him more life. Alright. He's going to get rid of that Kitchen Finks. It's going to get a persist counter, and James is going to gain 2 more life because it re-enters. Oh, I think both players realized that there was just no sort of revolt there. Matt kind of fired off the old Fatal Push a little too quick. This is going to be Gideon presumptively making a 2-2. Gideon most notably cannot be Abrupticate. I think that's its biggest strength in this matchup. James is going to fetch with the Verdant. It looks like he also intends on shocking. Alright, and he is. It's going to be an untapped Temple Garden for James. Alright, let's see what else he has this turn. It's going to be the Lingering Souls out of James's hand. Next turn he gets to make a bunch of valuable plays. This also gets to keep that Gideon in a little more in check. We'll see if Matt wants to attack with the Gideon while he can. Kitchen Finks just kind of throws itself in front of it. Yeah, he's going to get in, and Kitchen Finks is going to block and net James 2 life. Matt, most notably that turn, did play a Shambling Event. This could impact the later portion of the game, as man lands have a tendency to. Alright, and this is going to be a flashback to Lingering Souls, I presume. There's not really any creatures in the graveyard for the Scavenging Ooze. And he's going to get in for 2 at that Gideon. Gideon's going to fall down to 3 loyalty. He's going to ship the turn back over to Matt. That's going to untap and draw. See what Matt found for turn. Doesn't look like much. He is looking at his graveyard, trying to get more of a more bearings on things. See how many types are in yards. Alright, and he is going to zero Gideon, knowing it's going to die. He's just going to try to press the advantage on board. Ooh, and a Tireless Tracker off the top, and James has a fetch land in hand. This is going to be 4. all at Gideon just in case Matt has any sort of removal. Tireless Tracker. And I am also going to venture to say, hopefully not too prematurely, that this is going to be game. James just has... We saw Tireless Tracker work for Matt that game 1, and it is just going to put in work for him this game 3. Hey, thanks for following. Sorry about that, I almost missed it. The blistering pace of this game. Ooh, and a Dark Confidant for Matt, but it may be too little too late, as James is going to fetch fall back down to 20. He's going to net another clue, and he's going to get to draw a card at the end of the turn. But an Abrupt Decay in response is going to hit that Tireless Tracker. So no clue netted for James. He's just going to have the one clue out right now. Of course, using all the unstable tokens, as one should. Alright. He's going to draw with the clue, and then he's going to untap, draw again. Ooh, and another Lingering Souls for James. I wonder very seriously if James has enough tokens to justify the amount of souls that are going to be lingering. James swings with the Goyf. A knight jumps out in front of it. And Matt's going to take 4 down to 10. Opposite sides of the die equal 21. Brendan taught me that. It's going to be a Lingering Souls out of James, and I believe a flashback. Oh no. Oh, there they are. There we go. James does have enough souls. Alright, James is also going to fetch. Drop himself down to 19, and I believe also 17 to shock. There's a possibility, though. Nope. It's just going to be a basic swamp. It's going to shift the turn back over to Matt. Matt, reveal just a Marsh Flats. Oh, and Scavenging Ooze coming down from James. And this has to be game. This is a little too much. I think Matt has a little too little. And signed, sealed, delivered. I think Matt can stay alive through that Shambling Vent, but it is just too much. He extends the hand, and James takes this in 3. Actually, not as bad as a matchup as both players made it out to seem. It was pretty entertaining to watch. And we'll be back very quickly with a round 3 after just a few short moments, and I will try to get y'all the best possible matchup that we can. Thank you, everybody.